What is going on, people? Triple M back again with another video. I hope you guys are doing well. Today I would like to talk about yesterday evening's game between France and Austria, which I think was a very good game from a neutral point of view. Despite the anticlimactic scoreline and ending to the game itself was actually really entertaining, I thought. And maybe this is just a personal thing, but I was very emotionally invested in this game as a neutral because I wasn't really sure what to expect from Austria, and they completely and utterly exceeded all my expectations. This is a team that I've only really heard positive things about as far as the Euro stages, qualifying stages were concerned, and some of their friendly games, but I didn't actually watch them. So I was kind of intrigued to see if they were going to live up to the hype and if they were genuinely as good as people made out, or if they were just going to flop. And they didn't. It was the former, not the latter. They pressed really well as a team, both in possession and out of possession. They looked really structured, looked well coached and organized. And even though there was moments where you could see that Austria didn't quite have the quality to achieve what they were trying to achieve against France, they still stuck by it, and I respect that. Ralf Rangnick is a manager I respect. I didn't know much about him before he joined Manchester United, but after he joined Manchester United, I always felt like it wasn't his fault. That caretaker period when we went on a horrible run of results, I always felt like the club did Ralf dirty and that we should have kept him in that consultancy role that we were planning to give him upon the completion of his 6 months as caretaker. I always felt that this guy knows ball, and I always felt that he had a brilliant mind. So shout out to Ralf Rangnick, proving once again that he was not the problem at United and that he actually is a really good coach and he can implement his style even with limited resources against a French team that most teams don't want to face. Shout out to him, man. Let's talk about France. Obviously a massive injury blow for Kylian Mbappe. He broke his nose. I believe it was a challenge on Kevin Danso, the Austrian defender, which ultimately led to Kylian Mbappe breaking his nose, and that's pretty unfortunate. Up until that point, he wasn't really impacting the game in a positive way. Yes, his cross was the one that resulted in the own goal, but outside of that, he didn't really do much. He missed a pretty... I don't want to say it's an easy chance, but for a player of his quality, it's definitely an easy chance, a chance that he should be putting away. If somebody showed you that clip of Mbappe missing the one-on-one, but didn't include the final touch and just showed you the build-up, him receiving the ball, him running into space and shaping up to shoot, and then just cutting it off just before he takes the shot, and they asked you, do you want to bet on this and do you want to potentially become rich? I'm sure many people would have put their house on Mbappe scoring that opportunity, or at least putting it on the target. Let's be fair, because I mean, the keeper could have saved it, but at least putting it on target. I think most people would have bet for Mbappe not missing that completely. And he did. He whiffed it. But I don't think he was the worst by any stretch of the imagination. I think that title could possibly go to Ousmane Dembele. I think him and Griezmann didn't really have a great game, but especially him, right? I thought Dembele made a lot of frustrating decisions. His performance was infuriating to watch. Cutting in and shooting when there's 3 or 4 passing options open, trying to be a hero and trying to do everything by himself when he literally has teammates, top quality teammates, that he could be playing off of. It's just the same old story with Dembele, right? He's a very hot and cold player. When it comes off, it's beautiful to watch. It's dazzling. It's amazing. But more often than not, he's just all flair and no end product. That's how I feel when I watch Dembele. He reminds me a lot of Marcus Rashford, to be honest. Like, he runs himself into a lot of blind alleys and then it just doesn't lead to anything. All that explosive pace and all the prospect of a potential goal when he's running down the wing and he's turning on the afterburners and he finally breaks away from the first defender and then runs himself into an alley where he's surrounded by 4 or 5 players and it's like, my guy, you could have just passed. There was like 2 or 3 white shirts open there. You could have just passed, you know? Just saying. That's how I felt watching Dembele's performance. It didn't feel good at all. In terms of positive performances, moving away from the negative for France, I think Kante deserves a big shout. He was arguably France's man of the match. Genuinely a magnificent performance in the second half. Not so much in the first half. It took him a while to warm up into the game, and he definitely looked a little rusty, I would say, in the first 10 to 15 minutes, but he grew into the game and he was really good towards the back end of that game. The second half in particular, I think in like the 82nd minute, he single-handedly stopped the counter-attack. I forget which Austria player was through on goal, but they were on the break, and from the halfway line to his own box, N'Golo Kante sprinted basically half the length of the pitch and was able to stop a counter-attack and still play with the same intensity afterwards. 82 minutes into a game of football, a competitive game of football against an Austria side that is pressing really high up the pitch and making you chase shadows. That is unbelievable. So shout out to N'Golo Kante. It's amazing how his body is able to move like that, especially after everything it's been through, all the injury problems he had towards the back end of his career at Chelsea and also with France. Now going out to Saudi Arabia, he's been able to stay fit, he's been able to stay healthy, and we're seeing the results of it. This man can still ball, he can still play. He's not finished, he's not washed, he can still play. he is still an elite world-class midfielder. Unreal performance. Apart from him, can't really remember too many good French performances. I think Theo Hernandez was okay. I thought he had a pretty decent game. I don't really remember him doing anything wrong. Marcus Thuram as well. I thought he did his best with what was available to him. Shout out to Adrien Rabiot. He's actually a player who Manchester United were linked with, and I made a video saying that I don't want Adrien Rabiot because I think he's overrated, he's overhyped, and he's all of this. I feel like a fool for making that video because since then, I've seen a few good performances from him in a Juve shirt and obviously now in the French national team. So shout out to him. He is changing my mind kind of and making me eat my words in real time. But other than that, I don't really have much else to say when it comes to France. It'll be interesting to see how quickly Mbappe is able to get the situation with his nose sorted out and get back onto the pitch, whether it's for France or Real Madrid later on this season. We'll just have to wait and see. Broken nose sounds pretty painful. It's not something I've personally experienced, and I hope to never experience it. Touch wood. Yeah, man. Austria. What a team. What a manager. What a country to get behind. It's going to be very interesting from a neutral point of view to follow their journey throughout the Euros and see how far they can possibly go, because I think there's a lot of positive signs from that performance. And everyone will talk about how bad France were. We got to give credit to Austria because Austria did not allow them to play. This was not a case of France not turning up. This was a case of Austria saying, no, we're not going to make it easy for you to turn up. Like, you can score. You can beat us, but we're not going to make it easy. We're not going to bend over. We're going to press you high up the pitch. We're not just going to sit back in our own box and look to counterattack. When we have the ball, we're going to play out from the back. We're going to trust our players. We're going to trust our midfield. We're going to trust our attack to navigate through tight spaces and hold the ball up. We're going to actually have more possession than you when the 90 minutes is said and done. Crazy. Big performance from them. So they've got my respect, man. It's been your boy Triple M. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I won't keep you any longer. Leave a like on the video if you want to support the channel, and subscribe if you are new. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day. Peace!